Good evening, everyone. My name is Jady Sutrisno, and I'm a grade 11 student at the Jakarta Intercultural School. And today, I am proud to present to you my research project. I want you all to think, look at this volcano over here. Do you think of destruction or how it causes, like it destroys a lot of areas? Well, although those attributes are true, we need to think about what are these volcanoes actually helping us with? Well, I have an answer for you all today. First, we need to understand the science behind volcanoes. Actually, volcanoes are incredibly beneficial to our agriculture because the volcanic ash from these volcanoes actually have many minerals in them, such as potassium, phosphorus, magnesium, and calcium that benefit the plant's growth. Once all of these minerals settle into the soil, it can help the plant and benefit their growth. These soils are very suitable for intensive farming, such as plantations, rice cultivation, coffee, and more. Let's look at Indonesia's volcanic geography. If you look at the graphic I have here, Indonesia lies right along there in the Pacific Ring of Fire, housing over 100 active volcanoes. The strongest agricultural regions in Indonesia actually lie around these volcanic regions, with Central Java housing Mount Merapi, East Java housing Mount Bromo, and Bali housing Mount Agung. So what is the connection to nutrition and food security? Obviously, because Java is so exposed to all of these volcanic ashes over so many thousands of years, that the soil there is very fertile for growing crops, and therefore increasing the nutrition levels in those areas. So this raises a very important question. Could volcanic soil be influencing nutrition through agriculture and food production? Let's look at the other side of the coin, though. Let's look at regions with poorer soil regions, weaker agriculture, and food insecurity. But before we dive into that, let's look at this map. Over here is a map of all the active volcanoes in Indonesia. Currently, as you can see, all of these black triangles are the active volcanoes, and they are all centered around areas like Java, Bali, and Sumatra. But this raises an important question. If the volcanoes aren't equally distributed around Indonesia, are we sure that all regions in Indonesia benefit equally from these fertile volcanic soils? Let's look at the regions with weaker agriculture conditions: Papua, East Nusa Tenggara, and Sulawesi. Let's look at Papua first. Papua is actually known for its peat soils, which are basically acidic soils that easily degrade, which means that it does not support the agriculture and it is not suitable for intensive farming. As you can see here, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium levels are extremely low in areas in Papua, which means that these plants are not receiving enough nutrients to help them grow. Another area that is also low in agriculture is East Nusa Tenggara. East Nusa Tenggara also faces a similar problem as Papua in that its soils are not rich in nutrients. But on top of that, as we can see, 72% of NTT receives less than 2,000 millimeters of rainfall annually, which means that on top of the nutrients not being there, there's also not enough water for these crops to grow sufficiently. Lastly, let's look at Sulawesi. Sulawesi receives, all of these regions actually receive less enrichment, volcanic ash enrichment compared to Java. And a research done in South Sulawesi cocoa farmlands found that nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium were all very low. So overall, let's revisit this volcano map after everything we've just covered. Do you notice something? The areas with the strong agriculture outputs actually are around areas with lots of volcanic ash, such as Java and Sumatra. And the areas that are weaker actually are surrounded by less volcanoes. So how can we connect that to the food on our plates? Well, let's look at that from a different perspective. Let's look at it from stunting. So what is stunting? Essentially, stunting is impaired growth caused by chronic malnutrition during childhood, especially during the first 1,000 days of growth. Stunting is considered irreversible, and it basically affects the child's cognitive and brain health and physical health up until the end of their lives. Because stunting is so important and so prevalent in Indonesia, I wanted to take my passion for the environment and this prevalent problem and combine it into one research project, which I'm proudly presenting today. Currently, the stunting rate stands at 19.8%, which places this second highest in all of Southeast Asia. And to make that more visually appealing, I put this all on a map, indicated by all these colors. So as you can see here, this is a map showing the prevalence of stunting in Indonesia. Green, the color green indicating that the prevalence is less there, and red indicating that the prevalence is more. And with that map, I created a data table that shows the province stunting rate, what the soil and agriculture looks like there, and the category that it lies in. I'll give you guys a minute to skim over the data table. As we can see here, there's obviously a direct correlation. Those areas with higher volcanic ash exposure and easier terrain often have higher nutrition levels and low stunting levels. And it would be easy to create a direct correlation here, but there are other limitations that we cannot account to, which include poverty, maternal nutrition, healthcare access, and sanitation. All of these other factors I want to include are limitations of this research project that I did not cover because they also do affect stunting in their own ways. So what can we do to solve this problem? Let's first look at peatland restorations. Do you remember Papua? Papua is actually well known for its peatlands because the soil there is very acidic and easily degrades, which means that it is not suitable and does not support crop farming there. By restoring these, we can protect the nutrients in the plants and promote crop growth. One edge that Java actually has over all these other regions is its strong irrigation and water management. By improving the irrigation in those other areas, we can decrease the dependency on rainfall, and we can double down on that by doing rainwater harvesting, by harvesting rain during the rainy seasons and use it during times of drought. Lastly, I want to cover how food access, healthcare, and infrastructure can also benefit. Access to food is often a really big problem in Indonesia, and if we improve the transportation infrastructure, we can improve how much food gets to every single region in Indonesia. So what can we take away from everything we've learned? So we now know that obviously volcanic ash is very beneficial to the soil, and therefore soil is very important for crop growth, having a straight direct correlation to how a child's nutrition and how health is in Indonesia. So the next time you eat food on your plates, I want you all to think, maybe something as destructive and destroyable as volcanoes actually helped put your food there. Thank you.